Okay, I deleted one post very recently, and it seemed to be getting some audience. I normally don't get very big audience here on my blog, but you see, there was a problem with that, what I was talking about, and I just couldn't leave it up there on YouTube because there were certain things that I really am questioning about that. I was just up to a sanctuary here in New Mexico called Chimayo. Um, it's a rather unusual place. And there was a crucifix that was discovered in the ground. Because of that, there was light pointing to that particular location, and it's rather miraculous that it ended up in the chapel there at Chimayo, where the discovery is made. But in any event, you see, that goes back to the Spaniards in the 18th century, I believe. Anyway, what happened here is that you see, Christ is present in situations like that. We don't really know, but I actually went up there. I live in Albuquerque, but I went up there today, this morning, and I checked it out, There was a Franciscan friar who discovered the crucifix, and then he brought it back, but you see, the next night it was still in the same location. It wasn't there in the church anymore. They looked at it, and then they said, well, wait a minute, we better just build another place here, you see, because that was God's will. You see, God's will is an unusual thing. We never know. We can never decide in advance what God's will for us is going to be. And with all this whole thing about the situation going on, I had to sort of from my own point of view, I had to cut corners, if you want to express it that way, cut corners, because I was brought up as a traditionalist. I was in a traditional Catholic family. I was an altar boy with the traditional Latin Mass. But you see, I had to cut corners because there was no other alternative. There's no other Mass available, I can't explain to you, but I did go to my parish Mass on the vigil yesterday evening, Saturday, which was to be Sunday Mass. You see, fulfills the obligation. But then when I was up there today, you see, I decided that I would also go to the Mass at that point, but assist in the Mass and then receive Christ in the Holy Eucharist. Now, I was talking about a lot of things last time, about what I think this coronavirus really is, how it spread, how it was created in the lab, it wasn't, in other words, the coronavirus is itself unnaturally occurring, but this particular form had to have been genetically engineered, you see. And so I was thinking about all of that, and then, you see, Christ just was telling me, you've got some things in your life that you have to deal with, personally. Like you said, like Michael, you have to deal with some things in your life. And that made a lot of sense to me because, there's always problems in our life. I've gone through this before. I'm not. I don't have a lot of many years to live. You could see by my constitution right now that I don't have a lot of years to live. I'm in good health and everything, but especially with things like these crazy viruses. But why was this particular virus, you see? Was this a biological configuration created in a lab, and then somebody took advantage of that because they knew what it really was, but they weren't really thinking? You see, these people that have so much power in the world, a lot of times they don't really think. You see, what I'm assuming is that they panicked because they knew it was created in a lab and they knew that they were responsible for it, and so they didn't want this to get out, you see, in the open, because their power is based on fraud, basically. So you see, it's very clear that what we're dealing with here is something demonic. Because when you accept, the father of lies, who is Satan, that's what these oligarchs or these elite people have basically done. When you accept that, you're basing your life on something that's not true. And you always have to make excuses for whatever comes up. There's a virus that gets out, you have to make an excuse for it. Oh, this was, because of a bat in China or something stupid like that. And then they say, oh, well, this, it's going to spread throughout the world and all this other stuff, see? Because they want to make an excuse for their mishandling of the situations. They have no regard for the divine law, so they try to do things, but they always fail. Every single time they fail. So you see, these people are not the ones that you want to follow. You want to follow Jesus Christ, you see. That's what I'm trying to convey. And I don't know, I'm sort of like rambling now. I tend to ramble a lot, but what I'm getting at is that, we have to comply with those suggestions that our local authorities give, because they have their authority from God, you see. So when they say you have to do certain things, like staying away from other people or putting on covering your face or something like that, it doesn't make a lot of sense, you see. But it's something we need to do anyway, because that's what God wants. So anyway, I think you have to realize, there's suggestions that this may be something, it definitely is a sign of the end times. But we don't know how far in time this end times will occur, you see. In other words, we could have a sign here, but the end times is not going to occur till way over somewhere out there somewhere, see. So, in terms of like Christ's second coming, well, that's what we're waiting for. So we want Christ's second coming. So it would be a good thing if like tomorrow that Christ would just say, okay, you've suffered enough. You've seen the times of the end. The people that reject me, Christ, are going to have made their decisions already, but yet you can be saved now. And then Christ will come again to rule. You see, he'll judge all of the human race and all of humanity. So, I mean, it's just not practical to talk about these things because we don't know what's going to happen tomorrow. I mean, this thing can all be over with. You see, it could be something stupid, like the flu. You see, do you understand what I'm saying? The flu comes and goes. This virus, I mean, if it was created in a laboratory, it's something that's very evil to begin with, but yet we don't have to fear. It's something we don't have to fear because God is much more powerful than anything like that, any evil like that. So, I think that we have a lot to look forward to. In other words, the downside of this is that if they close all of the businesses, the smaller businesses, the economic activity, what's going to happen? Are the people going to be fed what they need, the poor people? Are they going to get the food that they need, That's something you have to consider. I mean, there are consequences for closing everything down, So what we have to look at is, we have to take the necessary precautions, which is very difficult. I find it very, very difficult to do that, but yet it's necessary. But when we do that, can we just please continue on with our economy, continue on with building things and providing food for the poor people, for everybody, the food that they need to sustain life, the water, things like that. Can we do that? That's what I'm asking. Okay. Thank you and goodbye.